Hello, Cloud Gurus, and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to look at the AWS Directory Service. So this is a very Microsoft-centric topic, and if you're not that familiar with Microsoft technologies, especially services like Active Directory, don't worry, we'll break it all down for you. So let's jump right in. So what is AWS Directory Service? Well, it's actually not a single service, it's a family of managed services. And these allow you to connect AWS resources with existing on-premises Microsoft Active Directory. This is a standalone directory in the cloud, and it allows users to access AWS resources and applications with your existing corporate credentials. You can also log into the AWS Management Console using those same existing corporate credentials. Directory Service also enables single sign-on across any domain-joined EC2 instance. So if you have your fleet of EC2 instances all joined to an Active Directory domain, you don't need to manage the credentials on any individual EC2 instances. It's pretty convenient. So if you don't come from a Microsoft background, you might be wondering, what is Active Directory? Well, this is an on-premises directory service that's used by most enterprises. It's a hierarchical database of users, groups, and computers organized in trees and forests. And you can apply what are called group policies to help you manage users and devices on a network. Now, under the hood, Active Directory is based on two protocols, LDAP and DNS, Lightweight Directory Access Protocol and Domain Name Service. And it supports Kerberos, LDAP, and NTLM authentication protocols. An Active Directory is intended to be configured in a highly available configuration requiring multiple servers. So the downside of that is that there's typically lots of management overhead, which is one reason why you would want to use a managed service. A managed service like AWS Managed Microsoft AD. So this provides AD domain controllers running on real Windows servers. So by default, you get two domain controllers for high availability, each of those in its own availability zone. These domain controllers are reachable by applications in your VPCs. You can add additional domain controllers to increase availability or transaction rates. And you have exclusive access to these domain controllers. No other AWS users will share those domain controllers, so you can be confident about the security. You can also extend your existing Active Directory to your on-premises infrastructure using what's called an AD trust. Now, when working with managed services like this, there are some things you need to keep in mind. AWS will manage some aspects of the service for you, while you as the customer are responsible for some other aspects. Let's take a look at what those are. First, AWS is going to perform a multi-AZ deployment for you, so you don't have to worry about high availability. They'll take care of patching, monitoring, and recovering your domain controllers. They'll perform any kind of instance rotation for you, basically making sure that you're always on the latest version of the software. They'll also perform backup operations like snapshotting and restoring for you. Now, as the customer, you need to be concerned with users, groups, and your group policy objects. AWS will not manage those for you. You can use standard AD tools that you're already familiar with, and if you want to scale out your domain controllers, that's your responsibility. And like I mentioned before, you can employ AD trusts to form a resource forest. This again is your responsibility. And management of any certificate authorities using LDAP-S. And finally, if you want to create any kind of AD federation, that's also your responsibility as the customer. So that's AWS Managed Microsoft AD. Let's take a look at its baby brother, Simple AD. So when do you want to use this? Well, you can use Simple AD as a standalone directory in the cloud to support Windows workloads that need basic AD features. And there are two sizes that you can deploy your Simple AD. Small, which is for less than 500 users, or large, which is up to 5,000 users. And this will typically make it easier to manage things like EC2 instances, where you want to use your existing corporate credentials to log into those EC2 instances rather than having to provision usernames and passwords on all of those instances or manage any kind of keys. And again, any kind of Linux workloads that might need LDAP are perfect candidates for using Simple AD. Now, one thing Simple AD can't do that Managed AD can is that they can't support trusts. So in other words, you can't join Simple AD to your on-premises AD infrastructure. So that's Simple AD. Let's take a look at the AD connector. When would you want to use this? Well, AD connector is your best choice when you want to use your existing on-premises directory with compatible AWS services. So AD connector is a directory gateway or proxy for your on-premises AD. This helps you avoid caching information in the cloud. And it allows on-premises users to log into AWS using AD. So you can join your EC2 instances in AWS to your existing on-premises AD domain. And as your needs grow, you can scale across multiple AD connectors. So those are the three Microsoft-compatible services: Microsoft Managed AD, Simple AD, and AD Connector. Now let's take a look at Cloud Directory. This is a directory-based store intended for developers. It supports multiple hierarchies with hundreds of millions of objects. And some places you might want to use this are applications that implement org charts, course catalogs, or device registries. And this is a fully managed service, so no infrastructure for you to manage. So that's Cloud Directory. Finally, we have Amazon Cognito user pools. Now, it's kind of interesting to me that AWS include Cognito user pools in directory service because it really has absolutely nothing to do with any of those other services I just mentioned. But for the sake of completeness, we'll cover it here. So Cognito user pools are a managed user directory for SaaS or software as a service applications. It's intended to enable sign-up and sign-in for web or mobile applications. And you'll typically see Cognito user pools used with social media identities. So for example, you can log into a SaaS application using your Facebook, Google, or Amazon credentials. So for the exam, it's important that you keep straight which of these services are AD compatible and which are not AD compatible. So for the AD compatible services, we have Managed Microsoft AD, also known as Directory Service for Microsoft Active Directory, AD Connector, and Simple AD. So these solutions also enable users to sign into AWS applications like Amazon Workspaces and QuickSight with your Active Directory credentials. So if you see an exam question that asks you about logging into Workspaces or QuickSight with AD credentials, think about the AD compatible services here. Now for the non-AD compatible services. We have Cloud Directory and Cognito user pools. So if you're a developer and you don't need Active Directory, you can use Cloud Directory to create directories that organize and manage hierarchical information. And Cognito user pools work with mobile and web applications. Alright, so that's everything you need to know about AWS Directory Service. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next lesson.